Hello all, it's the 16th of May 2016 and it's Dan here from Essex, United Kingdom. So mixed sort of weather of late, had a fair bit of rain and a little bit of sunshine as well. We're hitting about 18 degrees today, so we're not doing too bad. Now, people are asking me quite a few questions regarding grapes, and I've noticed that the views on my grape videos are going up. So what I thought I would do is just sort of show people a little bit of what I've got going on here with regards to some grapes, and hopefully you guys can sort of learn from this. So we'll just go outside. Okay, so this is one vine I have, and this is variety Lakemont Seedless. Now, if you check my videos from last year, you will see that these vines produce an awful lot of grapes, and here they are in their infancy. Now, these are what the small bunches of grapes look like at this time of year. And what they do is they put out a little sort of spur, as I call it, like this, on a bit of last year's growth. So this is all last year's growth, as you can see, down here. So what we've got here is like I want to call this like a main leader, if you know what I mean. You can see that this is a sort of gnarled looking branch, if you want to call it that, or vine, and then it puts up a bit of growth that year. So this is the last year's growth here, and then it proceeds to fruit on last year's growth. So what this is, you can see just here, excuse me, behind there, look, you can see that spur that's come up, and then on that spur you will then get your little bunch of grapes. Now, I'm looking at this vine here, and there's probably a good 30 small bunches on it. So as you can see, it's incredibly prolific. Now, what we got down here is the rootstock. Now, these vines, or this vine in particular, came from eBay. I believe it was about 4 or 5 years ago, and I think it cost something ridiculous like £6 or £7, incredibly cheap. Now, I don't know what rootstock this is on. This is a grafted vine, but it was well and truly in the ground, but you can still see it looks almost weak, but it is very much indeed strong. And you can see these lovely lush green leaves that we've got here. They're almost shiny in appearance. So what I'll be doing is, as the grapevines as the bunches of grapes themselves get bigger, I will be removing some of the leaves, the foliage around it, to allow the sun to hit them and increase the sugar content, so we can get some nice sweet grapes. Now, this is facing south, so of course you want to be looking at growing grapes in a south-facing location. And this vine is not up against a wall, it's not up against a fence or anything like that, and have to forgive the relative untidiness around it. Been rather busy, but I have these supports in situ here, simply beanpole canes. Okay, so you know, they're not particularly difficult to support if you don't want to. There was a little bit of what I built here last year in order to support it some more, but you really can you know, build some good proper supports with regards to grapevines. Okay, so here we have another one. Now, you can see once again these little spurs that are coming off of a piece of last year's growth, and they really are nice, these grapes. I don't know what variety they are, but they're very much fruity grapes, very good for wine and a decent size. So I'll just show you again a piece of last year's growth and the little spurs that have come up off of it, and on those spurs you can see these little bunches. Now, these grapes do get big. They're almost like supermarket grape size, and they're incredibly sweet as well, and very, very fruity in taste, and they really are good. So when we go up here, look, simply put, I put this up a beanpole once again, and you can see it's put out its spurs, as you could see. Now, I may remove some of these spurs in order to thin them out to get bigger grapes, or I might leave them. It depends on sort of how I feel and how busy I get. Certainly at the moment it is not a priority, but doing quite well really. I mean, excuse me, hopefully we'll be getting a good 30 bunches of grapes off of this vine, and I'll be very happy with that. Now, this here is another variety. Now, I did not put this one in myself, so I don't actually know what variety this is, but they're very small grapes, very sweet as well, and you can see that they are starting to produce little grapes on here. Once again, you can see last year's growth and then the corresponding spur where which the little bunch has formed. And of course these spurs will continue to grow. So grapevines are incredibly vigorous, and you really need to keep on top of them because they grow very fast and can produce very heavily. Now this is a south-facing fence, so this gets very warm, which of course the grapes like because it helps to ripen them. And of course we've got some trellis here that this is tied to. So these are just some basic ideas that you can do with regards to growing grapes. And my how to grow grapes in pots is a rather popular video I've noticed on YouTube. So if you just type in how to grow grapes in pots, you will see that. So that's another idea that you may consider if you don't have the space nor the time or whatever, or you just don't wish to grow them in the ground. And this vine, so let me show you how far this vine stretches. So it just goes over this fence panel here, covers this entire fence panel here, and it continues to grow right to the end of this fence panel here. Excuse me. So, and you can see for yourself just how many small bunches of grapes are on here. Yeah, so I do have several other vines as well, another Lakemont seedless, of which I call my monster vine. It really does produce massively every single year, so I'll probably be doing a video regarding that sometime soon. So if there's any questions regarding grapes, you know, let me know, and I'll if I have the time I will respond. But certainly try and get growing grapes if you can, because in the UK you can get amazing crops if you choose the right varieties and plant them correctly and treat them correctly. And of course it's a huge misconception that you cannot grow grapes in the UK. And as you can see, we're not doing too bad on the old peaches either. Okay, take care, speak soon.